What's going on, everyone? For Animal, I'm Centopani, and today we're going to talk bulking. Now, as with most things, there's certainly more than one way you could go about this. What I hope to share is some of the things that I've done over the years, things I found helpful, things I found useful, things I found to be garbage, okay? And what I'm going to do, hopefully for you guys, is streamline the process. Make it easier, make it more efficient, make it more effective. I'm gonna reduce it to 3 easy steps into what I think is the smartest, most effective, most efficient way to do it. But I made a smiley face out of oranges and tomatoes, and I used carrots for the eyebrows. Stupid, sorry. Let's talk about bulking. Number one, what is it? Just because it's the winter time right now, does that mean you have to bulk? When I use the term bulking, I'm talking about eating above maintenance calories in an effort to put on size and or strength. This is how I go about it now, okay? After all the years of different strategies, different things I've tried, I'm gonna pour all this down, I'm gonna reduce it down. There's certainly more than one way you could do it. It just so happens that for a lot of people, they end up doing it during the colder months of the year. Now, I understand it depends on where you're located geographically. There's places in the country or abroad where it's warm all year. But for a lot of us in the US, especially myself living in the Northeast, when you look at the way things are set up, like for example, if we take a contest schedule for a competing organization like the NPC, the winter months, there's pretty much nothing going on. They wrap up the national championships in November. So then December, January, February, March, it's pretty much no shows. And then they start up again in April. So between that and practically speaking, I don't know about you guys, but when it's colder outside, I tend to have a natural affinity to want to eat a little bit more, eat a little bit heavier, eat richer foods. So for a lot of us, putting on size in the winter just kind of seems like a natural thing to do. Plus, if you were gonna, do it some time of the year, usually it's a little bit more conducive to do it in the winter. That being said, I've dieted through the winter months. There's so many times where I competed in the Arnold Classic, and I was dieting through Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and that's just fine too. So nothing says anywhere that you have to bulk during the winter or that you have to bulk at all. But for those of you out there who stumble upon this, and I'm gonna share with you some information I think is gonna help you immensely. Step number 1, establish a base diet. A lot of people, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, from day to day, their diet is different every day, right? Depending on if you practice flexible dieting. Again, not saying there's anything wrong with it. If that works for you, great. If that's the approach that you go, obviously you're gonna have to know your calories because that is step number 2. Step number 1, hammer down your base diet. For me, I know exactly what I eat on a daily basis. So I know, therefore, kind of what that means to me. Is the scale moving up? Is the scale trending downward? So if I'm eating the same diet every day, and I'm not gaining weight or losing weight, I know that I'm at maintenance, okay? Now, a lot of people say, well, I'll just use like an online calculator and determine my BMR and the amount of calories I need. It doesn't always work out perfectly. The best thing to do is have a diet, something that you consume consistently, that's your baseline, and okay, that is your maintenance. Once you have that base diet, add up the calories, see where you're at, okay? That's step number 2. Step number 3, so simple. All you need to do, add 200 or 300 extra calories a day. I don't know if you know this or not, but a pregnant woman only needs to consume an extra 200 to 400 calories a day. That's to grow a whole nother human being. So do I think you need to go absolutely berserk with calories? No. I understand there's hard gainers out there, and truth be told, there's times when I was trying to put on size where I just kept hitting plateaus, and you gotta keep upping the calories and upping them and upping them. That's fine. But does that mean you need to add an extra 1,000 calories a day right off the rip? Absolutely not. See what happens. If the scale's trending upward, it's enough calories to move the needle. If not, add another 200 to 300, or whatever it takes, 200, 300, 400 at a time. I wouldn't go above 400 calories per day, per week. So for example, if I started off and I added 200 calories a day to my diet, and I let it go for a week, and I didn't see any change, I would probably add another 200. Okay, whatever increment you add, just keep track of it, just be consistent with it. So I'm gonna show my diet right now as an example and tell you how I would go about it if I were trying to bulk. When I look at my first meal of the day, I've got 6 whole eggs, a roll, and I juice down 3 oranges to make a glass of orange juice. Meal number 2, 7 ounces of chicken, a cup of veggies, an apple, a 1/4 cup of nuts. Meal number 3, same thing, 7 ounces of chicken, half a cup of veggies, I have a pear, and another 1/4 cup of nuts. Meal after that, another 7 ounces of chicken, a cup of veggies, and I have a tablespoon of olive oil added to this meal. And then the last meal of the day is 7 ounces of ground turkey, a cup of rice, and then I make a salad, lettuce, carrots, tomatoes, cucumbers, a tablespoon of olive oil on that, and some vinegar. So if it came time and I said, okay, you know what? I need to put on size. If I were trying to bulk, how would I do it? Knowing my base diet, so simple. I could add a serving of animal meal. I mean, that's a whole 500 extra calories, okay? Simple. I could add a few extra rice cakes, things like nut butters, coconut oil added to maybe a bowl of oatmeal in the morning, an extra banana. I mean, by the time you add a tablespoon of coconut oil and a banana to a serving of oatmeal, you've added an extra 200-300 calories easy. I try to stick primarily to whole foods. When you're bulking, one thing that is gonna be a roadblock for a lot of guys is you start to consume so much food that your appetite starts to run out. And adding another half a cup of nuts or some more rice cakes or another cup of rice is not gonna be super appetizing, okay? There were times in the past where I'd resort to fast food. To be totally fair, it's very easy to consume an extra 500,000, even 2,000 calories from fast food. It's really delicious. That's why if you've seen any of my stuff before, a lot of times I'll tell people who are trying to get in shape, okay, people who have a difficult time refraining from over consuming food, stick to single ingredient foods, because just a single piece of chicken or one piece of fruit, a potato, a serving of rice, doesn't really taste that great. The odds of over consuming it are very slim. When you're trying to put on maximum size, it's probably the time to lean into multi-ingredient foods, food products. I don't think you should make them the base of your diet. I think that even when you're bulking, you're trying to gain size, you should keep whole foods as the foundation of your diet, but as needed, maybe it's a box of frozen waffles, things like that, things that are gonna taste really good and be really appealing, because otherwise you're just not gonna eat. I would leave things like fast food as an absolute last resort. I don't think it's the best stuff to be consuming. I'm not totally against it. Maybe once a month I have something from a fast food restaurant. So it's not that it's horrible, but I don't think you should make it the foundation of your diet. And I think if you are adding it, it should be because you just can't really get the calories any other way. Shakes are a super easy way to add extra calories. Like I said, one serving of animal meal, 500 calories. What I want to talk about though is a lot of times when it comes to bulking, people will say, well, that's when you should be consuming a lot of red meat, things like that, calorie dense foods. Now that would sound like it makes a lot of sense, right? Like, okay, I'm trying to gain size. Wouldn't I go for the most concentrated sources of calories? I would tell you yes. However, you ultimately have to consider your digestion. For me, red meat never worked really well because I just didn't seem to digest it rapidly enough. Believe it or not, in an off season, I liked easy digesting protein sources, chicken, fish, eggs, because I could consume a lot of it and just tear through it so that, you know, if I have a meal at noon, by 2 or 2:30 p.m., I'm ready to eat another one. Having a meal of something that's, you know, really a difficult digesting protein or foods that are super high in fiber. I know fiber, you know, okay, it's healthy, it's wonderful, it's great, but if it's gonna fill up your stomach to the point where you can't eat again on time, it's probably gonna limit your ability to consume the volume of food that you need to consume to put on size. So again, to reduce this into 3 easy steps, develop your base diet, okay? Calculate the number of calories, and then all you need to do, add a specific number of calories per day on a weekly basis and see where the results are, right? If the scale is trending up, you don't need to keep adding food. If the scale's not budging, bump it up another couple hundred calories. A couple things I would warn against though. We're simply talking nutrition, right? There's a whole lifestyle aspect you need to consider. What you're doing in the gym, what you're doing outside of the gym, how much rest are you getting? There's a lot of guys that in an off season, they will say, okay, I'm trying to gain size, and they'll pretty much live at the gym, right? They'll increase the number of hours per week at the gym. They'll increase the length of their training sessions and the number of days they go to the gym. Personally, I always found less to be more when I was trying to gain size. I would refrain from going to the gym as often, sometimes as few as 3 days a week, 3-4 days a week. When I was there, I would train really, really hard, really, really heavy, but still try not to stay there more than an hour, hour and a half. You don't want to turn it into a marathon. The whole purpose of eating more food isn't to just go burn it all off at the gym either. Make whole foods the basis of your diet. Eat things that digest well for you. Eating things that are slow to digest, you know, too much fiber, difficult to digest proteins, complicated foods in general, anything that's going to slow down your digestion will probably inhibit your ability to consume the volume of food you need to get the number of calories you need to grow. Guys, putting on size is tough. It doesn't have to be complicated, all right? The diet's one thing. Make sure your training is sane. Make sure you're living a lifestyle that's conducive to the progress you want to make. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.